Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are reading from the book Meditation and Spiritual Life by Swami Yatiswarananda. We are currently in chapter 32, the attainment of real freedom in this life, and we are starting the section Moral Freedom, a step to spiritual freedom. The 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, also called Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga, is devoted to a discussion about two kinds of human beings: those who are endowed with divine qualities, Daivi Sampatta, and those endowed with demonical qualities, Asuri Sampatta. The divine qualities are fearlessness, purity of mind, knowledge, self-control, charity, sacrifice, straightforwardness, non-violence, truthfulness, renunciation, peaceful temperament, compassion, and softness towards all beings, humility, patience, etc. So these are described in the first three verses of chapter 16, which again is Daivasura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga. We will chant the three verses. This is not in the text, but for completeness, chant those three verses and their translation for the complete Daivi Sampad, that is the divine qualities. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhir Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi Dhanandamascha Yajnascha Swadhyayastapa Arjavam Ahimsa Satyamah Krodhastyagash Shantirapaishunam Daya Bhuteshvalo Luptvam Mardavam Hirachapalam Tejaha Kshama Dhriti Shaucham Adroho Natimanita Bhavanti Sampadam Daivim Abhijatasya Bharata. Sri Bhagavan said, Bharata, that is Arjuna, freedom from fear, purity of mind, steadiness in contemplation, charity, judicious restraint, that is of sense organs, performing rituals, recitation of one's own branch of the Veda, religious discipline, that is austerity, alignment of truth, word and deed, absence of hurting, truthfulness, resolution of anger, renunciation, resolution of the mind, absence of calumny, compassion for living beings, absence of ardent longing, softness, modesty, absence of physical agitation, brilliance, composure, fortitude, cleanliness, no thought of hurting, and no exaggerated self-opinion. All these are there for the one who is born to the wealth of Devas. The demonical qualities are enumerated in greater detail, but in brief they include egotism, vanity, arrogance, cruelty, and ignorance. The difference between these two qualities is due to the play of the gunas. Those in whom tamas and rajas predominate tend to have demonical qualities. Those in whom sattva predominates tend to have angelic or rather divine qualities. If we observe our own life, we find that both these qualities are present in us. We behave like angels sometimes and like demons at others. The cause of this fluctuation is our inability to get established in sattva. Leading a moral life is not enough in itself. Ordinary morality is mixed with rajas, which prevents man from getting spiritual experience. When the mind is purified of rajas, sattva predominates and the mind reflects the light of the divine. But first of all, tamas must be eliminated. Inordinate clinging to sense pleasure, lethargy, and vanity must be given up. This can be done only if a man has true inner strength. The show of strength that many people make outwardly is usually a mask for cowardice. A true moral man has tremendous inner vitality and strength. He has overcome tamas and has attained a calm and loving nature. But even this state is of no use unless it leads one to spiritual experience. Generally speaking, true morality leads a man towards the path of spirituality and freedom. That is why the Bhagavad Gita says, divine qualities predispose a man to liberation, while demonical qualities lead him to bondage. So this is the Bhagavad Gita, again chapter 16, shloka number 5. Daivi sampad vimokshaya nibandhaya surimata ma shuchas sampadam daivim abhijatosi pandava. Spiritual wealth is considered to be for freedom, the wealth of an asura for basically demonical quality for bondage. Pandava, Arjuna, do not grieve, you are born to spiritual wealth. Morality is a necessary step in the path of spiritual experience, which alone can grant total freedom to man. To the extent we succeed in living a good life, to that extent we become morally free. But perfect and total freedom is attained only through spiritual experience, which frees the illumined soul from the hold of ignorance, which is the root cause of all forms of bondage and sorrow. Buddha said, by gaining nirvana, the illumined soul is established in holiness and attains freedom. When Christ said, and ye shall know the truth, and truth shall make you free, so this is the Bible, St. John, Book of St. John 8:32. He was speaking of the spiritual freedom that comes only after illumination. As an ancient saying of the Taoists in China has it, when creation began, the Supreme became the world's mother. When a man knows his mother, he in turn will know that he is her son. When he recognizes his sonship, he will in turn keep to his mother, and to the end of his life, he will be free from danger. Next section, attainment of heavenly pleasures is not the goal of life. The concepts of heaven and other worlds of enjoyment have been present in Hinduism from very early days. But they were never considered the ultimate goal, the summum bonum of life, except by a small group of philosophers called the Mimamsakas, who believed that through ceremonial sacrifices, yagas and yajnas, one could obtain admission to heaven. Hence they attach great importance to the performance of Vedic rituals. But in the Upanishads, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the works of Shankaracharya, in the Bhagavatam and other scriptures, we find this hankering after heavenly pleasures strongly denounced. The Vaishnava teachers too thought that heaven should not be the goal of a spiritual aspirant. Instead, the supreme abode of Vishnu, Tad Vishnuf Paramam Padam, the all-pervading divine, should be the goal of spiritual aspirants. According to Mimamsakas, the souls are real and many in number, and so also are the worlds of enjoyment. The souls after death go to these worlds according to the results of their actions on this earth. The Mimamsakas do not believe in an omnipotent God or Ishvara, and their goal is not moksha or liberation, but heaven, which they hope to win through the performance of ritualistic sacrifices. They of course do not believe in the one existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute, that is Satchidananda Brahma, the Brahman or Atman taught by the Upanishads, whose apparent manifestation is everything, internal and external. By following the path of rituals and ceremonials, one will earn some merit, no doubt. One may go to higher spheres, but then one has to fall down again because these places too are impermanent. There can be no external heaven, eternal heaven or an eternal hell. Everything phenomenal is controlled by time and appears and disappears in time. The man of sacrifices goes to heaven worshipping the gods to sacrifice here below. Like a god, he enjoys their celestial pleasures which he himself acquired. He enjoys pleasures in heaven till the merits of his good deeds are exhausted. Then, on the expiry of his merits, he falls down against his will, being propelled by time. So there's a footnote here. They say look for at the Bhagavatam 11.10.23 and 11.10.26, and also the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8 and verse number, sloka number 16. Abrahma bhuvana lokav punaravartinojuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Arjuna, all the worlds where beings exist, up to the world of Brahmaji, are subject to return. However, having reached me, Kaunteya, that is Arjuna, there is no rebirth. One should not waste one's energy in running after the pleasures of this world or the next. True dispassion is one of the essential qualifications of a Vedantic aspirant. Why go in for the perishable pleasures of heaven, not much different from those obtainable here, when it is possible for you to attain to the imperishable blessedness of communion with God, the source of all bliss? There is happiness of various types. The question is, which type do you choose? One must be very clear and definite about this. There is joy in self-indulgence, and there is the joy of heavenly pleasures, but there is a still greater joy in transcending both and enjoying the freedom of the soul. Decide once for all which one you want. If you choose the spiritual path, if you fix God realization as your goal, you must renounce all desire for pleasures here and hereafter. You must be prepared to face all the trials and tribulations that beset the path of such divine renunciation. This does not mean that one should give up all actions. What is important is to give up the desire for enjoyment which prompts one's actions. All actions are to be performed without any desire. That is selfless work. When work is done in this way, it will purify the mind and make it fit for receiving the light of God. If you cannot perform your actions without selfish desire, then surrender the fruits of your actions to the divine. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, by worshipping him from whom all beings spring up, and by whom all this is pervaded. By worshipping him through the performance of duty, a man attains perfection. So this is the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, sloka number 46. Yatah pravrittir bhutana yena sarvamidam tatam swakarmana tamabhyarchya siddham vindati manavah. Through one's duty, worshipping whom from whom is the creation of the beings, by whom all this is pervaded, a human being gains success, namely moksha. Worship the Lord with your actions. That is one of the best ways of worshipping him. Even rituals and ceremonies are useful if performed with the sole intention of pleasing the Lord. They may be necessary for many in the early stages, but there are higher forms of worship. The spiritual aspirant should take up these higher forms of worship and approach the divine more and more. If you're capable of taking up the higher forms of worship, why remain satisfied with the lower forms? However, there is one point to be noted here. The highly refined heavenly enjoyments of the Mimamsakas are definitely superior to the gross, vulgar, animal pleasures that ordinary people indulge in right here in this world. The former is no doubt inferior to the bliss of God realization and may have been strongly condemned by the scriptures, but they are far better than groveling in immorality and corruption. The Mimamsakas have a strong um, sense of dharma. In fact, of all the schools of Indian philosophy, it is they who have discussed ethics at the greatest length. According to them, following the Vedic injunctions and avoiding those actions prohibited by the Vedas constitute the duty of man. One of the great exponents of the Mimamsaka philosophy upheld the doctrine of work for work's sake, and his concept of obedience to Vedic injunctions is not much different from the categorical imperative of Immanuel Kant. Dharma, righteous living, has always been a sobering principle in all schools of Hinduism. In Hinduism, fear of God is not so much stressed as the fear of infringing dharma. One is afraid of violating any law or religious ruling. Everybody must follow the dictates of dharma. And an unprincipled man has no place in Hinduism. The spiritually advanced soul may transcend some of the grosser aspects of dharma, but nobody violates the fundamental principles. Next section. The ideal of Vedanta is the highest freedom. The ideal aimed at in Vedanta is to attain to a state that is beyond all birth and death, from which there is no falling off, a state of freedom. Freedom or liberation can come only by dissociating ourselves from our body and mind, in other words, from our false personalities. Absolute detachment from material objects is real freedom. Dependence on anything other than one's true self is bondage and misery. The perfectest self depends on his self alone, not on others, and enjoys the bliss of the self. He is called a Atma Rama, one who revels in his self. He transcends all kinds of gross and subtle enjoyments of the mind and the senses. To an illumined soul, even heavenly happiness is a misery, because he has enjoyed a much higher state of happiness and freedom. Granting that heavenly pleasures are better than earthly pleasures, still they are not permanent and do not enable one to transcend one's limitations. That is why all serious-minded spiritual aspirants are advised to consider any desire for heaven an obstacle to spiritual progress. Instead of following the path of rituals and ceremonies, which leads to perishable results, one should cultivate more and more dispassion, knowledge, and devotion. Death is staring at you in the face, and you're thinking of enjoyment? Such is the power of Maya that we go on spending our precious time in all sorts of ridiculous things and creating new forms of bondage, forgetting the supreme ideal of liberation. Sri Ramakrishna's parable of the fisherman's net and the fish is clear in its meaning. A way out of the net is open, yet only a few fish escape through it. The rest bury themselves deep in the mud, thinking they are cozy and safe there. This is from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We saw many references earlier, pages 11 and also 96 to 97. So also it is with us. The world which we think is the most secure place disappears from our eyes when death overpowers us. We need not have any morbid fear of death, but we should not be foolish enough to overlook its reality. If life is real, death too is real. Salvation in Hinduism means freedom or liberation of the soul from all sorrows. It is a state of unalloyed peace. To live in that state of total freedom and bliss, or the intense struggle to attain that, is what we mean by the term spiritual life. This is not a state which is only attained after death. It is attainable right here in this world. A man who has attained this lasting freedom is called a Jivan Mukta. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।